Let's get this under here, out of your way.
Shana Tova, everyone. Shana Tova. Happy and healthy New Year. We invite you to take your seats. Our service is about to begin. Shana Tova, everyone. We invite you to please take your seats, opening your prayer books to page 166 for our morning service. Shana Tova, everyone. Our service begins in the middle of page 166. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness and of the impulse within us for justice and mercy, we pray that this hour of worship may be one of vision and inspiration. Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. We read together. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need,
in search and in need, all who bring to this place the offering of their hearts. May our worship here lead us to fulfill our words and our hopes with acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Amen.
Amen.
Yitkadal, V'yitkadash, Shemei Rabbai, Be'alma Divrach Hirutei, Ve'yamlich Malchutei. Adar Vitale Vitalal Shmei Dekudesha Leila min kol mirchata v'shirata tushmechata v'nechemata Barechu et Adonai hamevorach.
We remain standing the top of page 168. Praised be the Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who makes light and creates darkness, who ordains peace and fashions all things.
To you the stars of morning sing. From you their bright radiance must spring.
And steadfast in their vigils day and night, the sons of God, flooded with fervor, ring your praise. They teach the holy ones to bring into your house the breath of early light. With
compassion you give light to the earth and all who dwell there. With goodness you renew the work of creation continually, day by day.
How manifold are your works, O Lord! In wisdom you have made them all. The earth in its fullness is yours.
Beyond our praise is the work of your hands. Beyond expression, the wonder of your light. Blessed is the Lord, the maker of light.
Great is your love for us, O Lord our God, and deep your compassion. Our Maker and King, our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. Be gracious now to us and teach us. Have compassion on us, O source of mercy, and guide us to know and understand, to learn and teach, to observe and uphold with love all the teachings of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching, help us to hold fast to your mitzvot, and unite our hearts to love and revere your name. Then shall we never be shamed,
for we shall put our trust in you, the great, holy, and awesome one. We shall rejoice and be glad in your salvation. For you, O God, are the author of many deliverances. In love you have chosen us and drawn us near to serve you in faithfulness and to proclaim your unity.
Blessed are you, O Lord, you have chosen your people Israel in love.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
The middle of page 170, we read together. You shall love the Lord your God with all your mind, with all your strength, with all your being. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you consecrate yourselves to your God. I, the Lord, am your God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord, am your God. True and enduring, beloved and precious, awesome, good, and beautiful is this eternal teaching.
This truth we hold to be forever certain. The eternal God is our King. The Rock of Jacob is our protecting shield.
You abide through all generations. Your name is eternal. Your throne stands firm. Your sovereignty and faithfulness are everlasting.
Your words live and endure, true and precious to all eternity.
Lord our God, you redeemed us from Egypt.
You set us free from the house of bondage.
For this, the people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you.
The living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome.
Who humbles the proud and raises the lowly, who frees the captive and redeems the oppressed.
You are the answer to all who cry out to you.
All praise to God Most High, the source of blessing. Like Moses and Israel, we sing to you this song of rejoicing.
שירה חדשה, שיבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדחין יומך, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
A little girl comes home from Hebrew school, eager to show her mother her drawing. A mother is washing dishes. "Mommy, guess what?" she says, waving the drawing. Without looking up, her mother responds, "Well, what?" "Guess what?" repeats the little girl. Again, the mother asks, "What?" "Mommy, you're not listening to me." Still not shifting her focus from the dishes, she says, "Sweetie, yes, I am." And she said, "But Mommy, you're not listening with your eyes." See, this is the season for us to engage all of our senses. We need every single one of them. And that means sometimes to even flip our senses, to see with our ears, to listen with our eyes, turning the opposite just so that we can align, somehow aligning our body, our mind, and dear God, with you, our spirit. In the middle of page 173, we rise for the blessings of the Amidah. Adonai tzifatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open our lips, that our mouths may declare your glory.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor B'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chastei Avot ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה.
זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים.
מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני
ברך וברוך שמו,
מגן אברהם.
אמן.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע.
מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעלים דומה, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה.
מי כמוך אב הרחמים, זוכה יצוריו לחיים ברחמים. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני
ברך וברוך שמו,
מחיי הכל.
Unatana Tokef Kedushat Hayom. This is the day, the one on which we hear those familiar and daunting words. Most of you know them by heart. Who shall live and who shall die? Some of you ask why we read such a depressing prayer on such a joyous holiday. And part of it is depressing. But the truth is that we live this reality every day, if we like it or not. And instead of only jolting us, perhaps we are also impelled to do what the prayer is imploring us in its subtext. Since we live with the knowledge that anything can happen, let's actually live and celebrate ourselves. In that vein, we ask you to plug into our theme for this holy day season and for our year. For everything there is a season, this is our season to flourish. Flourishing takes work. We are better at listing what is wrong with us than we are at remembering what is right. We want to know what makes you strong, and so we asked. And out of dozens and dozens of responses, I share just a couple of your responses. One writes, "My gift is in finding joy in what others have. I refer to finding joy in what they can do and who they are and how they may inspire. I'm not jealous, though I used to be. Now I may have envy, but it's grounded in awe and respect. Like, how does that cheerful restaurant worker balance 4 dinner plates on one slim arm? How does someone create a box office miracle like Hamilton? How do people stop their lives and rush in to save others in unparalleled first response? No matter what else I may lack, my human connections grow stronger. With that insight and knowing that I far surpass what I don't have, what other people have, not only am I strengthened, but I am also liberated. I am free to flourish." Someone else writes, "The things that make me strong are sports and friends and school. Sports because the more practice, the better. Friends because if I'm struggling, they could help me out. School because learning about many subjects makes me stronger." And from another, "Since I've lived 81 years, I've had a lot of time to develop strength, morally, physically, and emotionally. Most of my years have been wonderful. I put out of my mind the bad times and try not to dwell on them. When they come to mind, I think of good things like my children, my grands, my friends, and wonderful trips all over the world with my husband. I try not to complain, and I smile a lot. I am strong." And someone else writes, "What gives me strength? When I actually stop to think about it, I realize that it's always been my source, and that's connecting with people and connecting with my heritage." And finally, again, I have scores I could share, but someone else wrote, "Opening my ears, opening my eyes, and opening my heart to things I may not at first want to see or experience, but then once I do, my whole life changes. And so I bring openness and kindness to as many interactions with others as I can." My good people, today we hang in the balance, but by emphasizing what makes us strong, we have such a good chance of living in that in-between with joy and with so much wholeness. The Unatana Tokef, the middle of page 176.
אמת, אמת, יתה הודיין ומוכיח, ויודע ועד, וחוטא וחוטאים, מסופר ומונה, ותזכור כל הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ומאליו יקרא. וחותם יד כל אדם פה. מעביר רצונו תחת שיבתו מעביר את צאנו תחת שיבתו כן את תעביר ותספור ותמנה ותפקוד נפש כל חי ותספור ותמנה ותפקוד נפש כל חי. ותכתוב את גזר דינם
Let us proclaim the power of this sacred day. It is awesome and full of dread. For on this day your dominion is exalted, your throne established in steadfast love. There in truth you reign. In truth you are judge and arbiter, counsel and witness. You write and you seal, you record and recount. You remember deeds long forgotten. You open the book of our days, and what is written there proclaims itself, for it bears a signature of every human being. Together, the great shofar is sounded.
Still small voice is heard. The angels, gripped by fear and trembling, declare in awe, this is the day of judgment. Even the hosts of heaven are judged. As all who dwell on earth stand arrayed before you.
As the shepherd seeks out his flock and makes the sheep pass under his staff, so do you muster and number and consider every soul, setting the bounds of every creature's life and decreeing its destiny. Rosh Hashanah, Tikatevon, V'yom Som Kippur, V'yom Som Kippur, Yechatemu, Rosh Hashanah, V'yom Som Kippur, V'yom Som Kippur, Yechatemu. Kama yavorun, v'chama yibareun, mi amor, mi v'kitzo
ומלווה קיצור. בראש השנה יכתבו וביום צום כיפור ביום צום כיפור יכתבו בראש השנה יכתבו ביום צום כיפור ביום צום כיפור יכתבו מי והאש ומי והמים מי וחרב ומי וחיה מי ורעב ומי וצמא בראש Som Kippur, Yom Som Kippur, Yechatemu, Berosh Hashanah, Yechatemu, Yom Som Kippur, Yom Som Kippur, והרעש ומי במגפה מי בחניקה ומי בסקילה מי ינוח ומי ינוח מי ישקיט ומי יטרף מי שלו ומי יסר מי יעני ומי יעשיר מי יושפל Yarom Som Kippur, Yom Som Kippur, Yechatemu, Berosh Hashanah, Yechatemu, Yom Som Kippur, Yom Som Kippur, Yechatemu. Uteshuvah, uttefilah, utzedakah, ma'avirin et ro'ah ha'gezerah.
On Rosh Hashanah it is written, on Yom Kippur it is sealed. How many shall pass on? How many shall come to be? Who shall live and who shall die? Who shall see ripe age and who shall not? Who shall perish by fire and who by water? Who by sword and who by beast? Who by hunger and who by thirst? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who shall be secure and who shall be driven? Who shall be tranquil and who shall be troubled? Who shall be poor and who shall be rich? Who shall be humbled and who exalted? But repentance, prayer, and charity temper judgment's severe decree. Indeed, this is your glory. You are slow to anger, ready to forgive. Dear God, it is not the death of sinners you seek, but that we should turn from our ways and live. Until the last day you wait for us, you welcome us as soon as we just turn to you. You have created us and know what we are. We are but flesh and blood. Man's origin is dust, and dust is his end. Each of us is a shattered urn, grass that must wither, a flower that will fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, a particle of dust floating on the wind, a dream soon forgotten. But you are the King, the
everlasting God.
Please rise.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאיך, וקרא זה אל זה ויאמר.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzivaot, Milo kol haaretz kevodo.
Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir Shemecha B'chol ha'aretz.
Baruch kevod Adonai Bimkomo.
Echad hu Eloheinu Avinu Malkeinu Moshienu Vehu Yashmi'enu V'rachamav leinei kol chai.
Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, Ledor vador. Hallelujah. We continue in the middle of page 183 with the Kadosh Atah.
Kadosh ata v'norah shemecha v'en Elohim מבלעדיך, ככתוב, ויקבע אדוני צבאות במשפט, והאל הקדוש נקדש בצדקה. ברוך אתה אדוני המלך הקדוש.
Amen. There once was a little boy who wanted to meet God. He knew it was a long trip to where God lived, so he packed his suitcase with cupcakes, several cans of root beer, and started on his journey. When he had gone about 3 blocks, he saw an elderly woman. She was sitting on a park bench watching the pigeons. The boy sat down next to her and opened his suitcase. He was about to take a drink from his root beer when he noticed that the lady looked hungry, so he offered her a cupcake. She gratefully accepted and smiled at him. Her smile was so wonderful that he wanted to see it again, so he offered her root beer as well. Once again, she smiled at him, and the boy was delighted. They sat there all afternoon, eating and smiling without saying much. As it began to grow dark, the boy realized how tired he was and he wanted to go home. He got up to leave, but before he had gone no more than a few steps, he turned around, he ran back, and he hugged the woman, and she gave him the biggest smile ever. When the boy arrived home, his mother was surprised by the look of joy in his face. She asked, "What's made you so happy today?" He replied, "Today, Mommy, I had lunch with God." Before his mother could respond, he added, "And you know what? She's got the most beautiful smile in the world." He, she, it, we, higher power, we could call it whatever we want. Either way, the point is it's in our hands to be in partnership with the divine. Oh, let abundant life be the heritage of all of earth's children.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. Yahel Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Isa Adonai panav elecha panav elecha panav elecha. Adonai Alav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. v'yasem, v'yasem, v'yasem lecha shalom, shalom.
And then there's this. The year is 2020, and the United States has elected the first woman as well as the first Jewish president. Let's call her Susan Goldstein. She calls up her mother a few weeks after Election Day and says, "So, Mom, I assume you'll be coming for the inauguration." "I don't think so, honey. It's a 10-hour drive, and your father isn't as young as he used to be, and my arthritis is acting up again." "Mom, don't worry about it. I'm going to send Air Force One to pick you up and take you home, and a limousine will actually pick you up at the door." "Oh, honey, I don't know. Everyone will be so fancy schmancy. What on earth would I wear?" Susan replies, "I'll make sure you have a wonderful gown, custom made by the best designer in New York." "Honey," Mom complains, "you know I can't eat all those rich foods you and your friends like to eat." The president-elect responds, "Don't worry, Mom. The entire fair is going to be handled by the best caterer in New York, kosher all the way. Mom, I really want you to come." So Mom reluctantly agrees, and on January 20th, 2021, Susan Goldstein is being sworn in as President of the United States. In the front row sits the new president's mother, who leans over to a senator sitting next to her and says, "You see that woman over there with her hand on the Torah? The one becoming the President of the United States?" The senator whispers back, "Yes, I do. You must be so proud." She says, "I'm really, really proud. Do you know that her sister is a doctor?" You never have to stop impressing your mother. Perhaps during this new year, we could look in the mirror and say, as Rabbi Perlman so beautifully said last night, we are actually enough. We are. We pray in silence.
Yailai, 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 לרצון מרפי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי רצון מרפי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי
Shana Tova, everyone. We want to just remind you to take your orders of worship with you because there is a huge amount of information about the way our calendar is going to function over the next couple of months, classes and programs and trips and mitzvah opportunities. So please do that. I want to just highlight a couple of important pieces for you. People have been asking all kinds of questions, and I'm so happy that you're so well trained in this to ask what's going on with the food drive. In a serendipitous way, and we're lucky, the food pantry, believe it or not, is absolutely full from this past month. There's been a huge bunch of donations, and they have asked us just for this year, we're going to go back to it next year, that we turn our attention to some other places that are in dire need. I'm talking about Houston, I'm talking about Florida, I'm talking about Puerto Rico now, I'm talking about Mexico. There are a lot of places we need to help. We're going to take one at a time and really take a measured approach to do what we should be doing as a community. So the bags that you have, it has a sheet inside of it or next to it. It will tell you everything we want you to fill it up with. And we are trying to help stock the school systems back in Houston, which are in utter disarray. We are co-partnering with Anshe Emeth in New Brunswick. We need pens and paper and pencils and rulers and calculators and scissors and staplers. Again, a whole list there. Go shopping, go crazy this week. Bring it back filled up. You can bring it back anytime through Yom Kippur. We're going to be separating it then, and then it will be either driven next week or shipped right after. The other thing I would like you to do is we are used to 10,000 pounds, right? You hear that over and over again. Well, instead of 10,000 pounds here, we want 10,000 pounds there in Houston. They're also hungrier than they've been in a while. Folks, it's going to take months to rebuild these places. Just because the cameras aren't on them doesn't mean that they don't need us. So please, you can go to the link. It's $1 a pound. I think we can easily get to 10,000 pounds. There's a special TBJ link. Again, you have all that in your order of worship. Please respond. The world definitely needs us. And speaking about response, you're not going to be surprised that I'm now going to ask you for your blood. I love your blood. The world needs your blood. Every pint saves 3 lives. 1 pint, 3 lives. Election Day here, we are going to be here. Judy Baker and her team is just phenomenal. I want you to sign up. I want it. You put it in your iPhone or whatever device you have, and please be here. It's incredibly important. Lots of speakers coming our way, but I do want to make sure to mention the Honorable Daniel Shapiro, the former ambassador of the United States of Israel. AIPAC and B'nai Jeshurun are partnering on an event here on November 5th. He's an excellent speaker. It's timely and important. We'd love you to be here again on the 5th at 5 o'clock p.m. I know this sounds a little bit out of sorts, but there's a new addition to our building. Did the president know that? I snuck it in when he wasn't looking. It's actually a splash pad. He didn't know about it. Look outside at one point and see the extraordinary addition that the Thelma and Richie Florin and inspired other people in the Parents Association to put this incredible addition to our camp. Only the cantor and I have not been in our bathing suits yet to go flying in it. We've been threatening a lot. But you should see it. It has been an extraordinary addition to our property and really helped out our camp a whole bunch. Last thing I'll say to you is that after services are over, you know us. We do not tell you that you have to stay. There'll be lots of exits open to go eat lunch. I know you'll be hungry by then. However, if you'd like us to receive you, we would like to receive you properly by asking you first to leave the center of the aisles open, to let the clergy get through, and then we'll be back by the doors to be able to wish you a Shana Tova. I have been very lucky for many reasons as rabbi of this congregation, and one of them is because I've worked with outstanding presidents, from Steve Green to Eric Sellinger to Maureen Spivak to Charlie Oransky, who just finished an excellent 3-year term, to the person who actually made the first phone call ever to bring me here, and we are in for a real treat. Richard Mandel, who many of you know, is a member of our congregation, has been involved forever, and has now just taken on the reins of the presidency. He wants to make sure that you could match his name to his face. He has a beautiful face, as you'll see, and his wife seems to agree. And so it is my pleasure, just for a couple of remarks, to bring up the new president of our congregation, Richard Mandel.
We still have some pews up front if people are looking for some places to sit. Shana Tova. I wanted to take just a few moments from our sacred Rosh Hashanah service to introduce myself as your new president. As is our tradition, we will be sending out a detailed holiday letter in the coming week which discusses a number of aspects of our life here at TBJ. But since this is my first year as president, as Matt said, I wanted to make sure you could put my name with a face. My wife Naomi and I joined B'nai Jeshurun 20 years ago when we moved to Short Hills from Japan. I am a Jersey guy, having grown up in Cranford in a conservative shul. Naomi grew up in Japan with a mix of Buddhist and Shinto beliefs and converted to Judaism at Rodef Shalom in New York. We have 2 daughters, Rebecca and Anna, who were raised here, attended ECC, camp, religious school, and both had wonderful bat mitzvahs with our superb clergy. From the first day we walked into this building in early 1997, we were welcomed with warmth and respect, even though I don't think TBJ had ever had a prior Japanese member. From that first day, Naomi, our daughters, and I have benefited from being part of this incredible community. Our interactions with clergy, lay leadership, and our top-notch staff have been meaningful and helpful to our lives. When we walked through the front door 20 years ago, we were trying to enroll Rebecca in camp and find a synagogue to join for the high holidays. I had no intention to take my involvement further, as I had a career to build and a young family to help grow. Somehow I got drawn in. Slowly at first, I joined a committee. After that, I tried other committees and projects until I found areas that could use my talents, and today I am blessed to stand before you as president. For a long time now, Congregation B'nai Jeshurun is an important anchor to our family. I recommend to all of you who may not engage regularly to dig in a bit deeper. I never thought I would, and it really has changed the way our family lives our life. These are challenging times, and we need new ideas and strong leadership. We have a dynamic board of exceptional trustees who all give of themselves to make the congregation the finest one possible. We have active committees operating across our entire congregation, and we have clergy and staff who devote themselves to making this community a home. I am honored to work with them and to serve each and every one of you. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, Naomi, Rebecca, and Anna, Happy New Year. We wish you a great year that is filled with good health, happiness, and many blessings.
The service for the reading of the Torah, Seder Kriyat HaTorah, begins on the top of page 188. The earth is the Lord's and all its fullness, the world and all who dwell there. For he has laid its foundations in the sea and established it upon the currents. Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place?
Those with clean hands and pure hearts, who never speak with malice, who never swear deceitfully, they shall receive blessings from the Lord, justice from God their helper.
Such are the people who turn to him, who seek your presence, O God of Jacob. Please rise as the ark is opened. With our hearts turned toward the open ark, we now call out to the one we call Avinu Malkeinu. On the bottom of page 189, I will begin reading in the Hebrew, and I will invite you to respond in the English, replacing the words Our Father, Our King with Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lifanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu, Be'al Olalenu V'tapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our children.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei Dever V'cherev V'ra'av Me Aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to sickness, war, and famine.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kaleh Kotsar U'mastin Me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to all oppression.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kotvenu B'Sefer Chayim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for blessing in the book of life.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, let the new year be a good year for us.
Avinu Malkeinu, Malei Yadeinu B'Mirchatecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, fill our hands with blessing.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Va'anenu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim, Aseh Imanu Tzedakah V'Chesed V'Hoshienu.
Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us, for we have little merit. Treat us generously and with kindness, and be our help.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu V'Aneinu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu V'Aneinu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim.
החסד והושיענו. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו. אבינו מלכנו חוננו ועננו, כי אין בנו מעשים. אבינו מלכנו חוננו ועננו, אבינו מלכנו חוננו ועננו, כי אין בנו מעשים. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו. אבינו מלכנו חוננו ועננו, אבינו מלכנו חוננו ועננו, כי אין בנו מעשים.
The Lord God is merciful and gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, and granting pardon.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanon. Apayim Rav Chesed Ve'emet.
Beit Yaakov lechul v'nelcha be'or Adonai, O house of Jacob, come let us walk by the light of the Lord.
Our Torah reading for this first day of Rosh Hashanah comes from Genesis 22, 1 through 19, the section which records one of the more chilling stories found in our Torah, the account of the binding of Isaac, known as the Akedah. In just these short few verses, Abraham is commanded by God to take his beloved son Isaac, in whom are centered all his hopes for the future, and to offer him up as a sacrifice on a mountain that will be shown to him by God. Abraham obeys the voice of God. He rises early in the morning, taking his son with him. Gradually, albeit not so concisely, he reveals his plans to his boy, and Isaac accepts his fate willingly. In the end, Abraham is stopped from going through with this atrocious act, and he sacrifices a ram in Isaac's stead. Although the ending is not as bad as we originally thought, as readers and studiers of the text, we are still left trying to capture our breath. I have told you this year in and year out because it is my sort of naive way of looking at this. I think that the story, first I would say, is much more about human failure than it is about God's failure. This indeed was a test that I believe that Abraham failed miserably. So this is the naive part. Each year I come back, somehow hoping that Abraham would make a different choice this year. My faith is in a God that doesn't command us to kill, but one who commands us to reach down to our humble selves, to live and to help others do the same. The story of the binding of Isaac, Genesis 22, could be found on page 124.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Varach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher Baruch Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayihi hadvarim ha'ela v'ha'elohim nisa et Avraham vayomer elav Avraham vayomer hineni vayomer kachnat et bincha et yehidecha asher ahavta et Yizchak v'lech lecha al eretz hamoria v'halehu sham li'olah al echad heharim asher Omar Elecha, v'hashkein Avraham baboker, v'havosh et Hamor, v'yikach et shnei nirav ito, v'yet Yizchak bino, v'vayaka aseh olah, v'yakam v'yelech el hamikon asher amar lo ha'elohim.
Vayom hashlishi vayisa Avraham et einav vayirat hamakom merachok vayomer Avraham el narav shivu lechem po im hachamor vahani vahanaor nelcha adko v'nishtachaveh v'nishuva alechem Vayikach Avraham et atzei ha'olah. V'yasem al Yitzchak beno vayikach biyado et ha'esh v'yad ha'machelet v'yilchu shneihem yachdav.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarok.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarok Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher bahar banu mikol ha'amin, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Ato Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayomer Yitzhak el Avraham aviv, Vayomer avihi, Vayomer hineni veni, Vayomer hinei ha'esh v'atzim, Vayehaseh le'olam, Vayomer Avraham Elohim, Yireh haseh le'olam v'ni, Vayelhu shneihem yachdav, Vayavo el hamakom, asher amar lo ha'Elohim, Vayiven sham Avraham et hamizbeach, V'ya'aroch et ha'etzim, V'ya'akot et Yitzhak b'noho, V'yahasem oto al hamizbeach, Mimalach la'etzim, V'yishlach Avraham et yado, V'yikach et hama'al helet, lishhod et b'noho, V'yikrai lahav, Malach Adonai min hashamayim, Vayomer Avraham, Vayomer hineni, Vayomer al tishlach yadha el hana'ahar, ve'el ta'as laho me'uma, ki ataha yadahati, Ki yireh Elohim ata, v'leho hasahafta, et binaha et yihidaha mimeni, v'yisav Avraham et einaho, v'yar v'hinei ayil ahar nehaz basvach v'karnav, Vayelech Avraham, vayikach et ha'ayil, v'ya'aleu le'olah tehat b'noho, vayikra Avraham, shem hamakom ha'chuhu, Adonai yireh, asher ye'amer hayom, b'har Adonai yireh. Vayikra malach Adonai el Avraham, shenihit min hashamayim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tachenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen.
Folks, it's really important to us in this big, thriving congregation that we try to reach you as much as we can. So we're trying something a little bit different for this last Aliyah. We want to be able to honor as many of you as possible. So I'm going to ask you to participate in this Aliyah if you fall into these categories. These categories, if you hear that it somehow relates to you or describes you, I'm going to ask you to stand. So don't be nervous. If you're the first ones, I promise you there'll be others standing. If you have participated in the act of creation with God this year, if you participated in creating something new in this world, we'd like you to stand. Like, for instance, if you've brought a child into the world this year, please rise. If you have brought a grandchild into this world this year, please rise. Yeah, I see someone holding up the baby up there. That's great. If you are someone whose cousin had a baby, whose niece had a baby, if there's been a baby born in your family, please rise. And if you have participated in creation in other ways, because you have brought somehow life into this world, no matter how you brought life into this world, please rise. If you've created something new at work, a new program, a new product, please rise. Yes, if you graduated from college, we're going to get to that in a second, Daddy. Hold on. If you have struggled with disease this year, if somehow you have struggled either by way of mind, body, or spirit, and you are here today, we want to put our healing arms around you and ask you to please rise. If you've suffered this year from illness, from disease, from diagnosis of mind, body, or spirit. And finally, if you have accomplished something important in your life. Now, Richard, if your daughter's graduated from college, you could get her up. If you have a promotion at work, stand up. If you have accomplished something by hitting a big home run, opening up a new wing at the hospital. If you have accomplished just being here today, you were here today and you got here today, please rise. See you in Florida. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, my dear good people, we honor you today because we want to embrace our entire community as much and as sustaining as possible. So please, the clergy up there will act as the responders. I will act with you in this aliyah. Let us all be honored on this new year together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et torato. Baruch ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. Please remain standing.
Vayomer binishpahati ne'um Adonai ki ya'an asher asita et hadavar haseh v'lo hasafta et binaha eihidecha ki varecha varecha v'harba arbet zaraha kikochavei hashamayim v'haho asher al safat hayam ve'yirer zaraha et sha'ar oivaha v'hiparaz hapzurs kol goyei ha'aretz kev asher shemata bekoli vayishav Avraham el ne'erahav v'yikumuhu v'yelhu yakdav el ve'er shava v'yeshev Avraham v've'er shava.
Blessed with extraordinary Torah readers, may God bless all of us who experienced everything that I described a few moments together. Come, let us be honored together as we finish the Aliyah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Please remain standing.
Please be seated.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem v'hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe Avdo uV'Yisrael amo uV'Nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
We may think that our biblical characters, our heroes, lived in times that were magical or unlike the times that we live in today. But nothing could be farther from the truth. The people that we read about in our Torah and Haftarah readings this morning, they were just like us. They had hopes and dreams. They struggled and they felt pain. They had elements of their character which made them strong in order to withstand the challenges they experienced. This morning, we want to try something new. Instead of only hearing the words of our Haftarah portion read to you, we want to explore our Rosh Hashanah morning reading through the lens of what it is that made those characters able to continue on, even when life was very difficult. We will highlight 3 moments from our reading, sharing the strength of character which guided our ancestors, and you will hear Cantor Fishbein sing selections from the text in their traditional melody. We invite you to lift your eyes from your prayer book, to open your heart to this story, thousands of years old, but its message so relevant for us today. For this is the story of Hannah.
ולא שתי נשים, שם אחת חנה, ושם השנית פנינה, ויהי לפנינה ילדים, ולחנה אין ילדים.
Yes, this is the story of Hannah. She lived about 1,000 years before the Common Era, and the text doesn't tell us very much about her, except that she was one of the 2 wives of a man named Elkanah. You see, her husband loved her very much, and her sister wife was able to have as many children as her heart desired. But Hannah was barren. She could not have the one thing in life she wanted the most. The pain of this loss, the emptiness that it caused inside her, was beyond impossible to deal with, and only intensified by the teasing she withstood from those who judged her silently and not so silently. You see, Hannah was a woman who was yearning. She was yearning for something so deep within inside of her. She did not even have the words to express how much she wanted to be able to hold a child in her arms. All of us here yearn for something. We yearn from a part of ourselves that cannot even speak. There are some of us in this sanctuary this morning who, like Hannah, yearn to have a child, or know the pain of having yearned for a child, even though we have one now. There are those in our sanctuary this morning who are yearning for peace because of a fractured or difficult relationship. There are those in this sanctuary who are yearning for peace, peace from illness, peace from struggle, peace from anguish. And everyone in this sanctuary is yearning for peace in our world, that somehow we are able to talk to each other, that we are able to speak kindness and generosity, even civility to each other. Yearning is not about getting what you want, rather giving yourself the space to reach down, to say its name. What are you yearning for as we begin this year together?
וכיסתה צרתה גם כעס בעבור הר אמעה, כי סגר אדוני בעד רחמה, וכן יעשה שנה ושנה מדי עלותה בבית אדוני, כן תכעיסנה ותבכה ולא תאכל.
In her desperation, Hannah calls on her inner strength, her bravery, in order to do something rather unusual at that time. She travels alone. She makes a pilgrimage to Shiloh, to the temple, in order to make a sacrifice, to implore God to give her the one thing that she yearns for. Her prayers are so heartfelt, they're so emotional that she somehow slips into another realm of being. She begins praying with so much force, with so much energy. Her eyes are closed, her lips are moving, but she makes no sound. She's swaying fervently. There are tears streaming from her eyes. She is speaking directly to God. But interestingly enough, not everyone sees it that way. The high priest, the priest named Eli, he sees her off in the corner, and he says, "Something is wrong with that woman. Something is wrong with her. In fact, I think that she is drunk. Eli cries out to her, "Woman, how long will you make a spectacle of yourself here? You have come to make a sacrifice. You are not in your right mind. How dare you show up without being in the right frame of mind?" I bet many of us would have wanted to respond, not very generously and from a place of anger. But Hannah does the exact opposite. The bravery with which she goes to the temple, she responds from that bravery and she says, "Eli, priest, you do not understand. There has been nothing poured into my cup, but my cup of emotion, my cup of desire is overflowing. Hear my prayer. Help God hear my prayer." Hannah's bravery is twofold. She shows up, and when she is confronted, she responds from a place of bravery. She says, "This is what I am here to do. This is who I am." Perhaps in this new year, we might also share our bravery to stand up for what's right, our bravery to speak up when things are not the way that they should be. You know, that bravery comes from the same place inside of us as yearning, that deep place which tells us what it is that we must do.
וחנה היא מדברת על ליבה, רק שפתיה נאות, וקולה לא יישמע, ויחושביה אלי לשיכורה. ויאמר אליה אלי, עד מתי תשתכרין? הסירי את עינך מעלייך. ותען חנה ותאמר לו, אדוני, אישה קושת רוח אנוכי, ויין ושכר לא שתיתי, ואשפוך את נפשי לפני אדוני.
Most stories aren't as neat and tidy as Hannah's, but Hannah's story ends with her being granted a child. She names him Samuel, meaning God has answered my prayers. And when he is older, she returns with him to the same temple to make a sacrifice of gratitude. She is able to meet again the priest Eli. She says, "Do you remember me? Do you remember me? I was the woman you saw here. But I am not the same woman. Because I am now, my yearning has been granted, and I am now able to say thank you. I am able to feel gratitude." Perhaps we too can find things in our lives to have gratitude for, to say thank you, especially when times are difficult. There is always something, a reason to be grateful, a reason and ability to lift up what we can express thanksgiving for, to find blessing in what feels difficult, to feel hope in the hopelessness in this new year.
ויהי לתקופות הימים, ותהר חנה ותלד בן, ותקרא את שמו שמואל, כי מאדוני שאלתיו. ויעל האיש אלקנה בכל ביתו, לזבוח לאדוני את זבח הימים, את נדרו, וחנה לו עלתה, כי אמרה לאישה, עד יגמל הנער והביאותיו, ונראה את פני אדוני, וישב שם עד עולם.
So indeed, we can see ourselves in the lives and the stories of our biblical characters. We, like them, have the possibility to flourish, to find meaning and purpose and joy in our lives. To everything there is a season. Some seasons are dark and cold, others are abundant and light. But this is our season, to find the best in ourselves, to raise it up, to nurture it, to ensure that through our strengths, we will indeed experience a Shana Tova.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום הזיכרון הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לכבוד ולתפארת, על הכל אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, ויתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל ביום הזיכרון.
אמן.
Our service continues on page 152. Lord, we pray to you for the whole house of Israel, scattered over the earth, yet bound together by a common history and united by a common heritage of faith and hope. Be with our brothers and sisters whose lives are made hard because they are Jews. Give them strength to endure and lead them soon from bondage to freedom, from darkness to light. Bless this holy congregation and all who serve it, together with all other holy congregations in all lands near and far. Uphold us, shield us, and bestow upon us abundant life and health and peace and happiness. Bring to fulfillment the blessing of Moses. The Lord your God make you 1,000 times as many as you are, and bless you as he has promised you. Amen.
O God, send your healing to the sick, your comfort to all who are in pain or anxiety, your tender love to the sorrowing hearts among us. Be their refuge through their time of trial as they pass from weakness to strength, from suffering to consolation, from lonely fear to the courage of faith. Amen.
We pray for all who hold positions of leadership and responsibility in our national life.
Let your blessing rest upon them and make them responsive to your will, so that our nation may be the world an example of justice and compassion. Deepen our love for our country and our desire to serve it. Strengthen our power of self-sacrifice for our nation's welfare. Teach us to uphold its good name by our right conduct. Cause us to see clearly that the well-being of our nation is in the hands of all its citizens. Imbue us with zeal for the cause of liberty in our own land and in all lands, and help us always to keep our homes safe from affliction, strife, and war. Amen.
We pray for the land of Israel and its people. May its borders know peace, its inhabitants tranquility. And may the bonds of faith and fate, which unite the Jews of all lands, be a source of strength to Israel and to us all. God of all lands and ages, answer our constant prayer with a Zion once more aglow, with light for us and for all the world. And let us say, Amen.
The top of page 154, as we return the Torah to the Ark, let us praise the name of God, whose name alone is exalted. Please rise as the Ark is opened. Hashivenu Adonai Alecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem. Help us to return to you, O God, then truly shall we return. Renew our days as in the past. I'm sorry, I've just been dying to do this. Before we start, hang on one second. Saul, was that inappropriate? Yeah, if you're put off by it a little bit, I know. We live in the world of selfies. Some people have their selfie sticks. Everyone I know has a selfie pose. Well, where's Captain Fishbein? She really has the pose you have to see. A colleague of mine tells this story about being in Israel during doing Muslim she's taking pictures of the old city, and she says, "Oh my goodness, I realize I must have missed something because everyone else is taking a picture of," and she turns around, and there's all this rubble back there. So she's taking pictures of the rubble also. She figures she missed something. I better catch up. And she's like, I wonder if this is 3rd century rubble, or maybe this is 1st century rubble. And she's like telling the person next to them, like, I bet you it comes from the Roman times. No, it's the Greek times. And they all look at her like she's strange because no one is taking a picture of the rubble. They're all turned around this way because they're taking selfies of themselves with Jerusalem behind them. And by the way, rabbis of all people sending back like these giant pictures saying, "Rabbis do Israel," in the Gaza war. "Rabbis do Israel," and there's bloodshed all over the place. You know, it's interesting. A selfie is actually a contradiction in terms. You think by taking a selfie that you're taking a picture of self, but we're not taking a picture of ourself. We're not taking a picture of our core. We're not taking a picture of our essence. What we're doing is we're taking this superimposed picture of ourselves. We are big, and the world is tiny. Jerusalem, the holy city of Jerusalem, and my big face is in front of it, and the kotel, the wall, is like this big. But I sort of get it. So many of us feel like we have to superimpose ourselves to the world. We want to block it out. We want some of it to go away. Because the world feels so darn frightening these days, doesn't it? Can you imagine Rosh Hashanah this year, what it's like in Florida, or Houston, or Mexico, or if you watched the news last night, no power for 6 months, Puerto Rico, what the holiday must feel like there? We worry about getting into the parking lot and making sure our soup's ready on time. That would be their pleasure this year, wouldn't it? So it feels like there's so much for us to pray about on this Rosh Hashanah. Terrorism punctuates the globe. Racism is all so alive and all so well. The chanting and the goose-stepping of Charlottesville still haunts my soul. The Jews will not replace us. The Jews will not replace us. And so we come here to pray for our world on this Rosh Hashanah. Prospects for Arab-Israeli peace seem bleaker than they have in decades. The Middle East itself, it wobbles on a cake of imminent chaos. And we have this mashugana adolescent sociopath with a happy nuclear trigger finger in North Korea. And he's not. He is. And so we come here to pray for our world on this Rosh Hashanah. Supposedly the economy's doing better. Unemployment levels, their rates are at the lowest that we've seen them in years. But somehow when I talk to you, when I feel the vibe, when I feel the energy, you seem to reflect back to me that you're just waiting for the other financial shoe to drop. And I think that's just it these days. There is this sense for so many of us, on so many levels, that the proverbial other shoe is about to drop. And so what do? We come here on this Rosh Hashanah to pray for our world. Everything feels so tenuous, everything feels so uncertain. I can't tell you how many of you, more than it's have ever since I've been at this congregation, have said you have so much to talk about this year. And it's true. There's so much. And on some level, I think it's important to do what I just did, to have your rabbi, to have your leader get up and at least list it all, because it's happening around us and no one seems just to say it out loud. So I hope me affirming that for you gives us just a little bit of catharsis. But I want to talk about all of it from a different perspective than we're accustomed to, a different way that we've been engaging in. See, what we do is we talk about all this, but I don't hear anyone really talking about anything. We list the issues, but we don't dig down to their core. We watch our favorite cable channels about all of these issues, but then we just get stirred up and angry and parrot back the same to our neighbors. We put them all, and this is my metaphor, we put them all on this carousel of obsession. They go around and around and around, and we talk about them and talk about them and talk about them, and all it does, I don't see anyone feeling better. I just see everyone getting angry and everyone getting scared, and we end up staying stagnant. We end up too often speaking from a place of fear, and so we constrict, we paralyze, and we end up picking up stones and throwing them at each other. Every opinion other than our own is just not wrong, but we make it life-ending. We laugh and we snicker at others, dismissing their existence. And I'll tell you, I fear for us when I think about this dynamic. because we continue each day to isolate more from one another. So I want to suggest that we take a different picture on this Rosh Hashanah. I want to suggest that we switch the perspective completely. Instead of taking the selfie that I just ran around and took, how about this year if we take a different picture? What would happen this year if we take something that a friend, a colleague of mine calls a soulfie? How about that? Not a selfie, but a soulfie. That is when we take a picture of our souls, or at least we take a picture from the perspective of our insides. Then we are not just sharing our fears, but we're also sharing our hopes. Then we're not just sharing what frightens us, but we're also sharing what it is that inspires us. Then we don't just react by angry instinct, but we act instead by thoughtful intention. The world is spinning, and we, our souls, our insides, our kishkas, our wisdom, have something to say about it. My good people, Rosh Hashanah, if we take its message seriously, has always begged us. I don't care what year it is and what's going on in the world, it's always begged us to do one thing, and that is to understand that we're always in a contest between life and death. We always are. A time that implores us to act, impels us to go out there and be a part of the world. You know, my mother, on her gravestone, just wanted one statement. It's a statement that I know a lot of you connect to. It says, in Yiddish and in English, man plans and God, yeah, we all know it. Human beings plan and God laughs. But with all due respect to my mother, I wonder if that maxim should be switched around this year. Perhaps actually it's God who plans, and it's we who end up doing too much of the laughing. What I mean by that is, could you ever imagine in your mind that God's actually out there planning for us to live so differently than we actually do? Did you ever think that God is cheering us on, wanting for us to see each other as made in the divine image, wants to see us fulfill our very potential that I believe was put into us from the moment we were born? But I wonder these days as I look around if we're subverting God's plan, if somehow we're mixing it all up into a cloudy soup of confusion and distrust. Ezekiel, who you should get to know, I always call him the psychedelic prophet, that's for another sermon. Ezekiel preached in his own day about confusion and distrust that he saw in his people. So he asked them, he begged them, and he said to his people, "Can you please fashion for yourselves not a heart of stone, but a heart of flesh? Can you fashion for yourselves not a heart of stone, but a heart of flesh? Not a heart that is instinctively hard, but one that is open to the dire needs around you." It has been quite an environment over this past year. Perhaps I was most acutely awoken and shaken to the complex reality about which I speak this past fall and early winter. To say that there was a change election last November would be an understatement. Some were elated, some were depressed, almost everyone was confused. So after Election Day, I wrote you a letter just to acknowledge the change, to acknowledge the fissure and confusion. And there were also so many nasty societal issues that arose to the election. And so I reminded everyone of our obligation, apart from policy, as a religious community to stand up for certain ethical issues. To that letter, I heard mostly gratitude. Then came inauguration. People were more unsure and more confused. The disconnect between people felt worse than I ever experienced. The Thanksgiving stories were the worst Thanksgiving stories I'd ever heard. The poison on the internet was the worst poison I'd ever seen. So how was a rabbi to preach a sermon on that Shabbat evening? So what I did, I thought it was clever, it was from my heart, I wrote a prayer. I wrote a prayer for the president. I ask you to pray with me that Mr. Trump be successful. If he could be successful, then perhaps we too as a nation could be successful. I wrote it because at the very least, we should always pray for our leaders. That didn't go so well. On the left, I was excoriated for acknowledging that Mr. Trump was the president, even though I actually watched him get sworn in that day. On the right, I was accused of being pedantically apologetic. What's the matter with you, Rabbi? You think he's so ill-equipped that he needs your prayers? I was looking for a way in past the vitriol, but no, that was not to come. But then came the game winner, the first executive order on immigration. As most of you know by now, Lauren and the kids and I went to the airport that night, and we protested what felt like the antithesis of so much of what it means to be Jewish. And yet, my actions were interpreted to be anti-party instead of pro-Jewish ethics. It ended up being one of the most difficult and fruitful weeks of my 20 years in the rabbinate. The reactions were of the surreal. On social media, my family's life was threatened, and I was compared to Osama bin Laden. Here at TBJ, 2 families immediately quit the congregation, while several others threatened to resign, and none of them accepted my offer to talk. And I received one of the more cowardly letters of my career. It stated, "I'm a rabbi who only cares about money. I brainwash our children, and I don't care about all of you who vote on the right." And by the way, I only say cowardly because of how it was signed, of course, anonymously. Always the courage and profile, right? And it was signed anonymously, the TBJ Milburn Livingston Trump supporters. But then, the moving and redemptive part of it all. Many of you opened up some of the deepest dialogue I have had as a rabbi or as a human being. Between emails and calls, I must have spent 30 hours of that week in conversation. And here's some of what happened. And almost every call started this way, or every email. "Hello, Rabbi." I said, "Hi, so-and-so." Before I get to what you're calling about, like I didn't know, I said, "How are you doing? How are your wife? How are the kids? How is your husband? How are the kids?" Oh, thank God, they're all fine, Rabbi. By the way, how are Lauren and your kids? Thank God they're doing well also. 20 decibel drop. Boom. Then, and that was fine, then they went on and they said, "We're worried about a few things." And I said, "Please tell me. We're worried about you making this a partisan pulpit. We're worried about you teaching politics in the religious school. Some of you who are immigrants who have come here in this lifetime told me how proud you are to be American citizens, how it's a privilege to be here, how some of you were vetted for 3 months and 18 months and 2 years, and every single one of those days was worth it. I learned from another of you sitting here today, whose own father was gunned down by a terrorist many years ago, what your outlook is, how it is that you see the world, how it is that you wanted to teach me about how it is that you see the world." And then most moving, a couple of you said, as we were about to get off the phone, "Rabbi, there's one more thing I want to tell you. I don't want to hate." And I would say, "I know so-and-so, I don't want to hate either." He says, "More than that, I don't want my kids to hate." I said, "I don't want our kids to hate either. Let's somehow find a way to talk through this in the deepest ways possible, to the deepest recesses, so somehow we don't have to visit whatever it is we're going through on our children. Let's figure this out so we don't have to be instinctively hateful and instinctively scared." We got off the phone, off the email with promises to reconnect more. The conversations started hot and volatile, but then they became adult conversations. We didn't withdraw from each other. And after all that, by the way, it was Shabbat once again, and it was Devin Janae's bat mitzvah. I only say that because not all of you will get this, but you know, David Janae, the father, is probably the most liberal guy in the congregation. That should get a laugh from anyone who knows who he is. It's obviously the opposite side. And I thought to myself, by the way, I said to Lauren, Laura's going to walk out saying, "I cannot believe he mentioned me in front of 3,000 people." And David's going to walk out and say, "I'm a rock star." Different ways we deal with this. So how was I supposed to deal with a family who have these really, really, really strong feelings about their politics and are really ethically based, and people I love, we've raised our children together, and make sense of this for the congregation without sort of blowing it all up? Well, on that Shabbat, I'll tell all of you what I told the Janaes and others that evening, and I want you to hear it loud and clear. This is not a partisan pulpit. It's not. We don't teach your children about politics. We teach them something called Torah. This is not a partisan pulpit. However, I have to tell you, I do feel compelled to push the envelope on what I call the moral imperative. The question, of course, is, and Eric Sellinger, you brought this up to me so many times and challenged me in ways to make me think about this, does the moral imperative work without rubbing up against the political? Right? The conversation we have had many times. Does the moral imperative work without rubbing up against the political? And the answer is, of course not. But just because it rubs up against the political, does that mean that we can't find the nimble wherewithal, the sophistication, the intelligence? All of us are such smart, sophisticated people. Can't we understand that there's a multi-layered way to be discerning in our lives? You brought me here now all those years ago. You told me because you wanted me to speak up and speak out. You told me in my interview you wanted me to disturb you when you were feeling too comfortable. Having a heart of flesh means that we don't get up and walk away when one side or the other wins. Do you hear me? We don't get up just because the other side wins. We have to hang in there as long as we can. In Jake's middle school this past year, the day after the election, I'm sure you saw a lot of this in places, the 8th grade gets up and they have a walkout. They're walking out to protest the election in 8th grade. Probably a good way to get some extra lunch outside or something. But they did, and everyone was so excited about our kids exercising their First Amendment rights, and they believe in what they want to say, and they voice it with peace. But we all got together with the principal, many of us, and said, that's great that they did that. But when they got back inside, did you put them around a table and made sure they understood all of the issues? Did they understand why they walked out of the school? Did they understand what it means to have different points of view from different sides of the aisle and what the ethics are that glue that all together? The school, I would say, that I generally love did not respond well to that. They did not bring them back. They just wanted to make sure that all heck didn't break loose. And then, you may have read about this in the newspaper, my friend Warren Spar, who sends me great articles all the time, and I really appreciate it, Warren. You might have read in the Times and the Wall Street Journal that the reform movement and the conservative movement, by way of protest, decided they were not going to get on the High Holy Day call with President Trump this year. So listen, I want to tell you, you might like it or not, I was not on a call with Obama, I was not on a call with Trump. It's just you getting to hear the president's voice. There's 3 questions, they're vetted, and you get no conversation. So I have other important things to do during this time than to listen to either Obama or to Trump, Mr. President, either way. But I have to tell you that I was so dead set against it. I was so upset that our movement, by way of protest and indignant, said, we're not talking to the president because we want to show him how against his values we are. I get it. I was really against certain things that happened in Charlottesville also and how it was handled. And even though there's not a real conversation on the phone, why even make the appearance of not being in dialogue? Why even make the appearance of saying, I'm so angry and I'm so right, I'm not getting on the phone call? And you should have seen the pride with which people wrote on Facebook about how we're so proud of being rabbis in this movement. And I knew in that moment that every single person who thought about things from the other side, I don't mean about race, I mean about politics, all withdrew from those rabbis immediately. And that was it. So I wanted to take what I said a few months ago was I want to give you an example of what I mean, that there's a moral imperative one side and there's the politics, and how we could actually be sophisticated enough to separate it. Let's take what I hope is an easy one. Let's take hunger. The religious and moral imperative, I hope we could all agree, is that people should not be hungry in this world. Can we buy that? That we don't want to live in a world where people are hungry? I know we buy it because you bring all those thousands of pounds of food. That's the religious imperative. The politics, it's up to you. You want to vote for the person who says, pull up your bootstraps and you get a job? Vote that way. You want to vote for entitlements and you want to make sure that people are just given it? I don't care. That's not my job. My job is for you to understand that the Jewish imperative is to make sure that people who are hungry are sated, and then you go vote the way you want to vote. But the imperative here is not politics, it's about feeding people. Okay, that's an easy one. I'm only going to use the case study of immigration because that's what it was all about, the whole trouble that I got into. We have to have adult conversations, which means we have to say things that we don't like, that is sometimes very difficult. So here's some things I'm going to say that you're not going to like and are very difficult, but I want an adult conversation. Number one, on that issue, Islamic fundamentalists have attempted to, or have killed thousands of innocent people in a medieval, disgusting manner. A majority of Muslim countries don't acknowledge the existence of the State of Israel. Finally, and I could list many, Muslims don't do nearly enough to curb radical Muslim behavior. That's part of an adult conversation, and my very dear friend, the Imam, who's coming to Jake's bar mitzvah this year, we've had that conversation. It's not easy, but we talk about it. I could go on, but you get my point. I don't like saying these things and all the counterpoints I could offer, but part of the moral imperative from that discussion means that it is a Jewish imperative to keep our country safe, to vet people at the borders, and as long as it takes for us to be safe, we should do so. And, not but, and, the other part of the Jewish ethical imperative and part of the adult conversation is we have to weigh vetting with the Torah's injunction, which states no fewer than 37 times that we cannot oppress the strangers because we were once strangers in a strange land. That means that every single person in the entire world is important. That means that as much as we're going to triple down on vetting, I'm going to say to you as a Jewish community, we have to triple down on our compassion. I don't care what that means and actually what it costs us to spend to be that way. If we're going to vet that way, we're going to be compassionate that way. Triple on security, triple on compassion. Folks, we live in a complex world. It doesn't have easy black and white corners to fold up. My good people, it feels impossible to deal with our hate and to deal with our fear. And I know, because I struggle with my own anger and resentment, I also get scared. But my good people, this is not a contest between who wins. This is a contest between who will be victorious and still have a soul left to go along with that body that we work so vigorously to defend. Can we see ourselves to a balance in between? Can we find human unity without unanimity? Might we fashion ourselves a heart of flesh instead of a heart of stone? This is no longer a plea for civility. I've tried that 3 years in a row. Do you know that I've given pieces of sermons for 3 years in a row on civility? Do you know that you walk out and you hug me and you kiss me and you say, Shana Tova, and Rabbi, you're so right? And then we go out there and we do the same thing again. So this is no longer a courteous request. This is a supplication of the highest order. This is asking you to reach down to the deepest recesses to a place that we call empathy. Just like Abraham that we read about this morning, we too are on trial. We are being tested by our ability to open our hearts. So I implore you on this new year to reach down to your most empathic self, the part that drives connection. Empathy is not about being polite. It is a generous choice that says, although I don't understand exactly what you're feeling, I'm going to understand something in myself that understands that feeling. We achieve this most by stopping the ridiculous blame game. Are any of you blamers? Come on, are you? I am. Whenever something goes wrong, there must be someone to blame. But you know what blame is? All it is a discharging of our own discomfort. It is a way to pretend that we're actually in control. The irony is that blame actually has an inverse relationship with accountability. I would say that blame is an enemy of empathy. I would say that pity is an enemy of empathy. I would say that fear is an enemy of empathy. And here we go. I would say that moral outrage is an enemy of empathy. I didn't say moral imperative. I said when we go wild and we start yelling and screaming and indignant and we decide we don't want to be in conversation with people, that's an excuse not to see the other side. That's an excuse not to be empathic. So let's break through it. Let's break through our heart of stone and find a heart of flesh. Let's start with ourselves and be compassionate to ourselves. Let's relate to ourselves kindly with our beautiful flaws. And I say beautiful flaws because guess what, my good people? The only thing that actually bonds all of us together is the fact that we're all imperfect. And when we don't hear each other, we don't see each other, we just grow in our misery. I would say that I have been sadly privileged to see compassion and the greatest empathy displayed at its saddest moments. I have seen it when people rightly have every legitimate reason to give up. And that is, of course, around horrific and terminal diagnosis. Many of you may know my dear friend, a dear friend of many of you sitting here to my left, Rob Frischman. Besides the fact that he's a Miami Dolphins fan, which really bothers me a lot, he has every reason to be angry in this world. A year ago, Yom Kippur, when Saul and I were downstairs talking before Torah study, I asked Saul to put his phone away, and he said, I can't because I need to show you something. Rob just texted us and said that he was diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma brain cancer. Rob and his beautiful bride fought valiantly this year, valiantly. Brain surgery, up and around, doing his thing, back to work. And then earlier this summer, there was recurrence. And not a lot of options. So when I called them and I said, Rob and Maria, what do you want to do? Without missing a beat, they say, we want to get married. I said, excuse me? Yeah, we want to get married. We want to make sure, even though we know that everyone has an expiration date, that we're going to live every single day to the fullest of our ability. So they decided to be good to themselves. With all the huge bumps they've had to overcome, huge bumps, they decided they were going to get married. So that happened here just a couple of Sundays ago, 3 Sundays ago, right here on this bima. A lot of smiles, a lot of tears, but the point I actually want to make, besides it being one heck of a party, guys, was that most of us there really didn't want to be happy. We felt too sad. But these guys, the ones who have every reason to be upset, every reason to be angry, said, no, we're going to celebrate the heck of every minute we have in this life, and so are you. And you know what? I see some of you who were with us that night. We lifted up and we celebrated because our sense of empathy, our sense of understanding what their feelings were, way superseded the feelings that any of us had. One of the greatest moments and one of the greatest lessons of my life. You see Rob and Maria, and the two of you guys with your little sister downstairs. All of us have an expiration date. Rob and Maria and their kids simply decided to act upon theirs instead of going away and just letting life happen to them. So how about us? How about us? Is this going to be a year of selfies, or is it going to be a year of selfies? Is this the year that we're going to fashion ourselves a heart of stone, or are we going to fashion a heart of flesh? Is this going to be a year where we act like we did when the solar eclipse came and the hurricanes which unified us because for a moment the world was bigger than any of us? Or a world in which we cause the storms and pretend to be bigger than the cosmos itself? This is our season. This is the season that we're called upon to find our light and to radiate it out to the world. This is the time to make people know that they are not alone, even and especially when they are not like us. Our approach to all of this can actually be up to us. It can all be in our hands and all be in our spirits. So as is my tradition, as I come to an end here, I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit different than I have in past years. And I'm going to push you. I'm going to ask you to actually think about the person with whom you want to show the least amount of empathy in the world. I'm not talking about terrorists in the Middle East. I'm talking about maybe someone sitting next to you. Oh, God forbid. Maybe someone who shares a work desk with you. I want you to think about who that person is, and I want you from the bottom of your hearts to think about how it is, and this I'll do some guilt about. I want to figure out how it is in this next 10 days that you're going to go to that person and try to change the frame. From selfie to soulfie. From in your heads to in your hearts. See if you could change the game with that person. Take a moment. I'll even give you permission to write it down on your phones. Who do you need to express empathy to this year? Who it feels impossible to do that with? And just in case you're not awake enough to do that, I don't mean physically, I mean spiritually, or up physically, I'm going to ask someone who happens to be incredibly special in my life, happens to have a bar mitzvah coming up in a few weeks, and he's now going to be our shofar blower. So don't get involved in all that. You got work to do. You got empathy work to do. Let his blowing of the shofar awaken your spirits. And I want to know who it is. You don't have to tell me. I want you to know who it is you're going to practice this sense of empathy with. Tekiah. Shivarim. Shivarim teruah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shivarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Teruah. Tekiah. So now take that moment. Stay up there, Jake. It's the only place he'll listen to me is here. Now take a moment to do what Rabbi Perlman asked. That's to think about your year and what it is that you yearn for right now. I want you to think about not what you need, but what you yearn for from the very bottom of your hearts. All of us need. All of us deserve. So let go of the part that tells you you don't deserve. And think about what it is that you yearn for. Think about what it is that you're grateful for your life, for your breath, for your connection, for the fact that you could see. You could stand up if you can. You can read and you can write and you can learn and be curious. You're so strong. Just remind yourself what it is that makes you so strong, because you're all so strong. And let the shofar wake us up to gratitude and to yearning. Tekiah, Shvarim teruah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah, teruah, Tekiah. Now we turn our thoughts to those of us, because we can't leave here without thinking about those of us who have experienced loss this year. There's some people sitting in the sanctuary who have felt deep loss for people who have left this world. So I invite you, if you feel so comfortable, if you've lost someone during this last period of 30 days, to rise and let us acknowledge you for your loss. Our hearts are with you. If you've lost someone during this last 12-month period leading up to this Rosh Hashanah, we ask you to please rise, because our hearts are with you. And we wish we could make your pain better. Your loved ones made our lives richer. Our hearts are with you, and we're here to hold you. Rabbi Perlman, if you would also read others whose yortzeit are this Rosh Hashanah.
In the period of Shiva, we remember Stanley Garfinkel. In the period of Shloshim, the 30 days of mourning, we remember Dorothy Brosterman, Charles Fleiderbaum, Mike Gelman, Lindsay Schwartz Jacoby, Floyd Jason, Honey Nathan, Frank Schlesinger, and Sue Turinsky. And on their anniversary of passing, this Rosh Hashanah, we remember Arthur Ashe, George Bierman, Julia K. Cohen, Solomon Cohen, Sadie Davis, Benjamin Fursko, Yetta Goldman, Rose Miller Gottlieb, Hyman Hoffman, Rose Leichner Hollander, Julia Levin, Benjamin Franklin Livingston, Bernard H. Lowy, Jack Meister, Jack Mitnick, Abraham Newman, Selma Nyman, Herbert Parvin, Bella Pett, Morris Pomerantz, Seymour Ring, Elsie Rosenthal, Frank Rosenthal, Leon Schlosser, Edith Weiss, Rose Winnard, and Irvin Yavelberg. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may the memory of every righteous soul be a blessing to us today. Page 158, I invite you to rise for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam olamei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yet adar, v'yet aleh, v'yet halal, shemei dekudsha, b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amin ram be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya'asei shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn here and comfort to all those who are bereaved, as together we say, amen. Amen. Having remembered all of them, the only thing left to do this morning is to evoke God's blessing. We invite you to remain standing as the ark is opened for our final benediction. May God bless you and may God keep you.
Ya'er Adonai Anadelecha Vichoneka.
May God shine his countenance upon you, granting each of us compassion.
Isa Adonai Anadelecha Anadelecha Yasem lecha shalom.
May God in God's infinite wisdom grant all of you the most precious gift of all, and that is the gift of shalom, of wholeness, of balance, of peace, of your minds, of your bodies, and of your sweet, sweet spirits. As we hear one more time the sound of the shofar beckoning that dream of peace for our new year and for our entire world. Tekiah Gedolah. Shana Tova, everyone. Thank you.